Yeah, that sounds good.
Oh,
All
Jesus.
right.
Send your fucking connection off.
What's up,
Jesus.
YouTube? What's up, Twitch? It's FJ, and this is BrackCast number 73. I missed last week because I was shooting a wedding until late, and I got home too late for the pod, so I apologize for that. But I didn't want to miss another week. Almost did because I had to shoot again today, but I made it back in time. Deji is with us audio. Uh, I guess no video today, but that's all right. This is broadcast number 73, and I decided to talk about aging. So, 40 is
Oh,
the
man.
new 30, is the new 20. uh,
Oh, man.
Personally, for me, the reason why I decided to bring that up is because I am turning 40 on Saturday.
Oh,
And
shit.
yeah, I guess I have like some mixed feelings about it. But I figured it'd be a good opportunity to talk about it before it actually happens. Who knows? Maybe I'll
Okay.
go back to Saturday next Thursday for the next podcast and talk about it. But yeah, how if you don't mind, Deji, how old are you for the pod for the lovely people out there? If you want to say
I'm in my early 30s.
early 30s. Okay, so I mean we're hearing it a lot more these days about 40's the new 30 or 30's the new 20. When was the first time you started hearing? Have you heard that whole sentiment? Is it just a defense
Um,
mechanism for people who don't want to age, or do you think there's some validity to it?
hmm. I think both. I think there's some validity to it because when you get, like, when you are a decade older, you kind of are more equipped to deal with, in a way, you're kind of better equipped to deal with this same or similar problems you had like a decade before. I think that's what it is. Like when you're in your 20s, it's like, oh man, I need to like finish school so I can get a job so I can, have money to do what I need to do. And then like when you're in your 30s, it's like, okay, like you have the job and you're just trying to like balance your time and figure out how to do what you want to do. And then it's like your 40s, it's like, okay, you probably have a good rhythm, you have some money saved up, you can probably like, actually just do a couple things that you've been wanting to do. So it's like nothing really is that different except for like the physicality of it and the fact that you can like, I don't know. That's how I'm starting to look at it a little bit. But at the same time, like you said, it is kind of a defense mechanism because I'll tell you right now, I played ball 5 days ago and I'm still feeling it.
Well, I don't know if that's just a result of age, but when was the last time you played ball before that? You know,
Yeah, true. I mean, but like,
recovery is
yeah,
yeah, age
recovery.
plays a role in recovery, but I think more so our conditioning plays a bigger role in recovery.
That's true.
If we played ball every week, twice a week, then our recovery would maybe be a day. It's just unfortunately like we haven't been as active because of COVID and all that. I'm looking forward to playing ball again this fall. We'll have our
Yeah.
weekly run come back finally.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, we had like a gym booked every school year, so every Wednesday we'd meet up. But then
Oh
there's
nice.
other runs that go where people are short. At right before COVID was my peak conditioning. Like I was doing Murphs once a week, which is 100 pull-ups, 200 push-ups, and 300 squats, and
Okay.
then a
That's good.
mile run before and after.
Shit.
I did that once a week. I was playing ball 2 to 3 times a week, and I was running 5 to 10K a week.
Wow.
I remember, yeah, when I started running again after like not running for a while, it would take me 3 to 5 days to recover. But
Mm,
that time, right before COVID started, I could run 10K, and then the next day I'm fine. Like,
mm.
and granted that was 2 3 years ago now, 3 years ago, but still, like that's not that long ago where I was in peak shape. Like I did not think the best shape of my life would be at 37 at the time.
Uh,
And I
yeah.
think it's very possible that I could still even beat that if I just dedicated the time. If I dedicated it to
Yeah,
him, I
that's
could do it.
that's
Look at
that's
The
what you
Rock,
said right
man.
there.
Look at The Rock.
He's fucking jacked.
That guy isn't he like 50? How old is The Rock?
He's fucking jacked. Jacked as shit.
He's 50 years old. And
Damn.
I'd say he's in the best shape of his life at 50,
Yeah,
you know?
yeah,
And
yeah,
I
man.
do think there's not, you can't really pass this sentiment equally to both males and females. I do think there's differences there. The reason why I want to say specifically, yeah, defense mechanism, because the only people who say it are the people who are that age. You know, you don't hear 20-year-olds saying 30 is the new 20. You don't hear 30-year-olds saying 40 is the new 30. Like, you know, they always
Yeah.
want to give themselves that extra decade. But I think more so is like lifestyles have changed in the last century. You know, when we say 30 is the new 20, it's like people who were living their 20s 50 to 100 years ago, they already were starting families. Like, they were getting married younger, they were finishing school earlier, and then they'd get married right away and then live that life where they're like building a family and a home and all that. And that started in your 20s. But now,
Yeah, really.
since people are finishing school later, they're going post secondary and even like post grad, you know, like people doing masters or taking time off, they're not getting married until later in life. So I think that's where really that sentiment comes from. Because 30s now, people are finally like, you know, finishing up their academics now or whatever, finding out what their career they want to be. And so then they maybe settle down and get married at a later age. You know, because people, like, what am I talking about? 50 to 100 years ago, people were getting married 16 to 18 years old, right?
Yeah, mad young.
Right? So then by 20s, they're doing this whole, like, build up of their, like, career and family. But people now are finishing school mid 20s, mid to late 20s, and then building their career, and then they start settling late 20s. So then by 30s, they're building their family and their career. So that's where I think it mostly comes from, like just the change of time. Now, do you think it's going to change? Like, I definitely don't feel like I am the 40-year-old that I had in my mind when I was like 18. You know, like
That's a fact. Yeah.
when my dad was 30 when he had me.
Hmm.
Right? I was the youngest. I'm the youngest kid. Uh, their first kid came at 25, and then I came 5 years later. So my dad at 30. Oh man, like I still think, you know, no offense to my dad, but like that I live a much more youthful life
Oh, probably,
now
definitely,
when I'm turning 40 than when my dad was 30, having his
definitely.
third
Like,
child, you know. He'd already immigrated from the Philippines to Canada, and he's not just established a career in like like a lifestyle already in the Philippines, but he like started over and came to Canada and like had to do it all over again. Like he lived two kind of lives already when I was born, and now I'm here. I am 10 years after that age for him. I think I'm in better shape. Definitely have a lot more like freedom and interests, disposable income because I don't have kids. So I think that's the big thing too. It's like kids. It's
yeah,
I see okay. No offense to all the parents out there. You guys are heroes. But man, I see how quickly people age when they have their first child. What do you think? Thoughts? How many
man,
of your classmates from high school already have kids? I wonder.
man, enough. Like, like half, like at least half, more, maybe more than half.
Yeah.
People I keep in touch with, like everybody's all kitted up. But it's funny you mentioned that you see people age. I usually just like I wonder about how that affects the relationship between the husband and wife. You know, because like you hear about how that can really like kill the sex drive in a marriage. I think about stuff like that. It's
Having
like,
kids, you
yo,
mean?
yeah, man, that's a real thing.
Yeah.
Like that really changes up the dynamic of just like the romance in that relationship, because then it becomes just all about the kid.
I'd have to
But even though
say
like it's a beautiful thing, but whatever,
I
it's like it's a
I
thing.
think it varies for relationships because some relationships don't really put a lot of focus on that,
What do you mean?
on like sexual intimacy, physical intimacy. Um,
Yeah, I mean it's not even like necessarily about the emphasis. It's just like that is still a uh it's like a pillar of a marriage, right? And that is affected when a child comes into play because now you're talking about like because like I've gone through Reddit threads on this stuff. They just talk about it's just like you don't have the time or energy anymore. And then before you know it, it's been like months. And that just like is that's a phenomenon, you know? Not to even say like it's a negative or a positive. That's just like random
it's like no,
tangents
it's
that I
like
think about.
norm, isn't it?
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
what I'm saying though is like relationships. I think before didn't have as open communication. Like our parents, our generation versus our parents' generation. Just in terms of like sexual openness in even conversation, the our
Mm.
generation now is way more like, first of all, like, is the word literate, sexual literate, our sexual literacy.
Sexually liberated or whatever.
Not even liberate. Oh
Liberated.
yeah, liberated, sure, but no, I wouldn't say everyone's sexually liberated. There's a lot of people who are still more private about it, who are more humble about it, or prude, maybe a little prude about it. But like, prudent. I don't know if the word is, but
But the conversation is definitely in mainstream media today.
yeah,
Like
but
that's
it's
like
like it's encouraged now. It's encouraged for a
yeah.
husband and a wife to have an open communication about their sex lives. Do you think our the generation before us had the same kind of like promotion
Sorry, when
and
I
you know?
sorry, when I'm talking about it's way more pronounced. I'm actually just talking about like, gender stuff and like just how that is like, like a lot of cancellations and just like that's in the news right now. It's in pop culture is more so what I mean. Not necessarily just like husband and
Okay,
wife
I
stuff.
will.
Yeah.
I agree. It's. I didn't realize. I started hearing about this whole red pill thing kind of late, and the more I'm starting to see it on social media because I guess it's popular. It's people are gravitating towards the content. The more statistics are coming out, and this latest one I saw, this I don't know if he was a teacher, professor, was saying that as single women, the more partners they have, sexual partners they have before marriage, the lower their success rate of marriage. So, like, when they have a relatively low number of sexual partners and then they get married, they they are 80% likely to have a successful marriage, no divorce. But as they have more sexual partners before marriage, that statistic drops, like it gets less and less. You know what I'm talking about? Did I describe it correctly, clearly?
Uh as far as like this is a professor that did this statistic, you said
No, like
that did this.
it's available. He just put up a graph. It was a YouTube video of this guy reacting to it. I think it was mediocre reviews and tutorials, or mediocre tutorials and reviews, MTR. He was reacting to this video where this teacher was teaching a class and he was being recorded, and he's saying, he has a chart that women, when they have sexual partners between like 1 and 3 or 1 and 4, and then they get married, their marriages in this like statistical study group were 80% successful. But then
Mm.
the categories, as women had more sexual partners, 5 to 8, or 5 to 10, 11 to 15, 6 to 20. The higher the number got, the lower their marriage success rate.
Was there like data for men?
So for men, this isn't the same for men. And so he summarized his, I guess, his like presentation by saying, you know, what do you call a key that opens many locks?
This is a professor saying this?
Have you heard it? Have you heard this before?
Yeah.
I mean, I
But
don't know
this
if
this is a professor saying this in like a classroom
I
setting?
don't know. I again,
What kind of class
it
is
looked
this?
like a classroom setting, but it was probably like
I want to see the
something
faces
about.
of all the girls in that class, yo.
Okay, well, have
When
you?
he's saying
Okay,
this
so
shit.
what do you call a key that opens many locks? A master key, right? And what do you call
Oh my days.
a lock that can be opened by many keys? This is the funny one. What do you think?
Wow, yo. That's crazy.
What do you call a lock that can be opened by
Science
many
has
keys?
shown, this
Oh,
is
here
a
we go.
study from.
I'll show it to you. I'll show it to you. He calls it a shitty lock. Anyway, let me share
Oh
this.
man.
Let me share this.
I need to know
Here.
what professor this is.
All right, ready?
Does he still have his job?
I don't, dude. Just watch it. I'm sharing it right now. I'm sharing it in the stream, so you can
Alright.
see it. Okay, we'll do this.
Oh shit.
Do you see it?
Yeah.
Why you should never marry a promiscuous. I can't read that. What does that say?
From the Teachman
Woman.
Heritage.
Here it is.
Oh, and then this guy's reacting to him saying
He's
this?
reacting to this, whatever it is. So it
Oh
says.
man, I gotta see his reaction.
So stable marriage rate as per Teachman, superimposed on heritage study as calculated on 10-year divorce risk. All right, let me rewind this.
Science has shown, this is a study from the Teachman Heritage Study. All the way on the left is what happens when you marry your first sexual partner. The chances of staying married is 87%. As the amount of men you have sex with before you actually get married starts to go up, that chance of the marriage working out consistently goes down. You can see over there towards the bottom, when you start getting into like 16 plus sexual partners, the chances for marriage working out significantly drops. It goes down to 17%. So we go from 87% down to 17% by having a whole lot of sex. And it just so happens that the more men a woman has sex with, the lower her ability to pair bond, to really bond with one man.
Pay attention.
You might ask yourself, well, why isn't that not the case for men? There's a really good saying that goes around, what do you call a key that opens many locks? A master key. What do you call a lock that's opened by many keys? A shitty lock.
For all of the women out there
Do you want to still watch this? Okay.
that tout their sexual empowerment in lieu of scientific studies that go over the consequences, and for all of the men out there that want long-term monogamous relationships, here's the data. Listen, if you run the whole facts and the title come.
All right.
Oh my days. Oh man.
So that's what I saw, and that's what I'm referring to. I mean, I don't know where that clip was taken from.
Bruh.
Was it a credible source? I don't know. What do you think? What are your thoughts?
Oh man. My friends, they would be like fuming if they seen this shit.
Well, okay. By what though? The statistic? Do they think do they think it's fake stats?
Just the concept, just the concept, and I guess like the obsession men have with just like women's bodies and stuff like that. You know what I mean? Like that. Now that, like, you see the whole what do you call it? The red pill conversation, and just like the whole like culture of it.
Yeah.
I feel like right now we're living in like a new age, man. So people are just really doing whatever like doing whatever the fuck they want to do, man. You know, like there's just a culture of just like wanton freedom right now, and I feel like for some reason still there is like a large, like, because I want to know like what was the purpose of that like seminar or like study, you know? Because okay, so there might be factual data to that, but like what is the intention behind it, you know? Because
I think it was probably more of like a relations, like not a course or anything. That's not school. I think it's probably like some, you know, external seminar people signed up for like maybe like the dating advice thing or like relationships and, you know, learning about men and women type of thing. It's probably like more
yeah,
like red pill blue pill kind of theme to it.
yeah, and I get that, and like honestly, like okay, maybe like a couple years ago, like when these types of conversations would like come up, like just in my traditional like upbringing and just like my, I guess, programming, right? I would be like, oh yeah, you know, it is like weird if like a girl's just like sleeping with a lot of dudes. But then I don't know, like I feel like even the concept of like sex, right? Before it was really a thing that you had to be like married to like really like enjoy, like to have sex outside of like a marriage was looked down upon, right?
Yeah, yeah,
So there was like a shame to it,
yeah.
but
Mainly
that's
though
that,
associated with religion though. Like it was religion
yeah,
that did that, but yeah.
yeah, but I mean, and to some extent religion would like permeate just like society, right?
Yeah.
So there was like an aspect of shame, but now it's like the culture is like, bro, everyone like it's dating app world right now. So like I feel like the fact that we're even, you know, having like not conversations about this stuff, but like conversations that kind of gear toward why why having, I don't know, for lack of a better term, like a sexually free or you know, just like sexually free lifestyle can be like, you know, there's some sort of like negative connotation to it. And it may be that, you know, depending on like your values, whatever, there is a negative connotation to it, right? But I feel like nowadays, like the conversation is like it's like the playing field is even, man, you know, to for lack of just to sum all that up. Like the playing field is fairly even now. So like when I'm listening to this, I just want to know what the intent behind what he's saying is, you know? Because yeah, there might be some validity to it, but like, okay, why are you saying this?
Like do you okay, so Tom, we're talking about right now, well, the theme of the podcast today is 40 is the new 30 is the new 20. But we are kind of segued to uh sexual
The segue like
relations.
a motherfucker.
So like what we just listened to was a clip of a statistic saying that when women marry their first sexual partner, that they are 80% successful in their marriage, no divorce. But as the number of their sexual partners increase, this is women only, as the number of sexual partners increases before marriage, the success rate of the marriage drops as it goes higher.
Hey.
Yeah. So like
Oh,
as you go 16 plus sexual partners before finally getting married, the divorce rates like or like the success rate of the marriage is like down to 20-30% or something. So
and it's like,
yeah.
sorry, I'm just thinking, and like that data too. It's like I'm sure there could be more context. Like when are they having more of these sexual partners? Is it like in their teen years and their like late 20s? Because I feel like all that stuff matters too, right?
Yeah, but
Anyway,
it's not. You're right. Like if they
Family comes into play.
if you spread it out over more years, the older that these women are getting, yeah, perhaps.
Family upbringing comes into huge play,
Yeah.
I think.
Well, okay.
But
Like we were trying to. Deji's wondering who is he talking to. Do you think his audience was just men? Do you think his audience was just women? Do you think it's a mix?
Well, I mean, it possibly could be a mix because I feel like in those types of seminars there is generally a mix, and I wouldn't be surprised if there was actually more women in there.
Yeah. So the saying was, what do you call a key that opens many locks? A master key.
Oh,
But what do you call a lock that can be opened by many keys? A shitty lock. So, he did mention that is like the more sexual partners a woman has, the less likely or able they are to have that bond, the pair bond, right? That's what he called it.
pair bonding, I think. you
Pair
said.
bonding.
Pair.
Yeah.
But so based on that research or statistics, so it's not men's fault that people are getting divorced?
No. No, I don't think it's correlated directly where what he was talking about, but he's just there's data supporting that the more sexual partners a woman has, the less likely their marriage is going to be successful. And it's we were just talking about double standards a few weeks ago on the pod, but now it's like this is different. Like you could, I don't know, can we really say that a man who's had? I wonder what the data is for men. I would like to.
Yeah,
I would
I-
like to
I
see
would
what
like
the
to know
data
what
is
that
for
data
men.
is.
Yeah.
Yeah, because you got
Because like at this rate, are you gonna? I don't know. That you're never serious with a girl, right away. But something develops and blooms. I guess you're gonna know already how many maybe people lie about their numbers all the time. How many people they've slept with, like that comes into play. Like if a girl told me, "Oh, I've slept with," I don't know, I can't remember. Like, am I gonna not date her anymore? I don't know.
Yo, you know what though? Like, would you be surprised if the statistics for men was the same?
No.
See, so me neither. So I
that's what I'm
wonder.
saying.
I
It's like-
wonder
Yeah,
if that
it-
clip
it
was
gets
just
the-
taken out of context. Where it's like,
Possibly.
it could be applied similarly to we don't know. Unfortunately, we don't
Like-
know that stat.
We're probably at an age right now
I
where
feel like
I
it's probably
personally
worse.
don't care about their numbers.
I feel like
I
it's
think
probably
everybody
worse.
has a past.
Well, okay, so you did bring it up, Deji, about like the dating app world now, where this hookup culture is so mainstream. I guess I don't understand how that works. I'm not like bothered by it, nor do I'm seeking it, but I do know of people who, and they're I guess more open. They communicate with me about I would call them, I guess, sexual exploits, but not really. They're just like, yeah, we're just seeing each other. We both know that we're not looking for anything more serious, but we just like the companionship, but it's like a part-time companionship. So like I wouldn't call it a fling either. It's just like both adults, consenting adults.
Good company.
They're like, yeah, let's hang out. Sex is
Yeah.
involved, and then that's
Yeah.
it. And then that's it. And usually it's because they have their own kids from like a previous marriage or a previous relationship. Their kids are
shit.
keeping them so busy that they don't have the time to invest
You're just there to
in
fill a void.
I don't have
build-
time for
yeah.
that.
well to build an actual that pair bonding thing, right? Like, so it's
There's
really
a lot of
yeah.
moms out there that's all they needed.
It is, and I think dudes too.
Yeah, for sure.
I think younger guys have a different incentive where they just want there's like this pride with the more women they sleep with. There's like,
Most moms are where it's at for fun.
because you were saying that too, Deji, too. Like, back then it was like shameful to have many partners before marriage. It was shameful to sleep before marriage. It was taught to us that you're only supposed to have sex after you're married. Like, it's the night of your wedding is when you first have sex for either of
Big
you.
cultural thing for sure. That's a
Yeah.
big cultural thing.
Well, I wouldn't say that now. It's still, I'm sure, taught by religion, but culture hasn't adopted that
I mean, in
anymore.
Canada, but try going to the Philippines, man.
I
There's
still
that little
no,
thing
I
there,
still
right?
don't think so, dude. I think promiscuity is everywhere. I think.
Yeah, man. For
Dude,
sure.
you're gonna
Oh,
say?
yeah,
Are you
there's
saying you go to the?
promiscuity
You think you're saying in the Philippines, there's still a lot of people only having sex after they're married? Do you really
East.
think that?
What about the Middle East?
What about the
What
Middle
about
East?
Africa?
Yeah. What about Africa?
You think women have this much freedom to go open the legs out there in the Middle East? I don't think so.
You think it's about freedom though? Like, why is it
Well,
about?
I mean, how many places in the Middle Man, you can't even show your hair in the Middle East. So how are you the hell are you gonna find a lot of hoes in the Middle East?
Well, it's not up to the men to find them. It's the women's choice. It's not like the men who just
But I
get to
don't think women
dictate.
have a choice over there.
No, but what I'm saying is anyone who's at, like as you said, or we mentioned before, anyone has access to social media now. Everyone
Yeah.
technically has a phone and has internet, even poor people. And what's socially accepted now is this whole like hookup, casual, non-committed.
I agree with you in the
Culture.
Western civilization part of it. There's a lot of the world is Western civilized, but there are still a lot of parts of the world where this is evil.
Like how,
Our lifestyles are evil.
like
haram.
who? You're that's an opinion. I'm not. I don't. This is opinion of mine too.
Countries out there are ruled by Sharia law. There's a lot.
Yeah.
So like I mean that's probably already there 40%.
Yeah, but
30%.
But what I'm trying to say is that might be what's governing their country
Yeah.
or their city, but they still consume mainstream social media. They still consume the
Agree with
whole
you with
lifestyle.
Anything that's Western civilization, 100%. But there are still places out there that we don't even where women cannot be hoes, even though guys want a hoe, but then they don't want to marry the hoes. You know, like there's all kinds of things out there in Africa and even in Asia and Middle East. There's still places out
Okay,
there. Where women,
I'm not gonna contest that they don't exist, but what I'm trying to say is that being norm is not norm anymore. It was norm on our previous gen, like our parents and their parents and whatever. It was more like a thing
Absolutely.
that
Everything's on the internet.
everyone just consumed at the time what was taught to them in school because you couldn't consume anything else besides what was on
Yeah, now
TV
we
and
have
what
all-
was taught in school. But now we can
Information's
consume
everywhere.
anything.
Information.
Even all
Yeah.
those people you're talking about in these very strict cities and in Canada, governments and like countries, they're still consuming the same all shit that we are consuming too. Even if they are living there, they still think they can have a life that's like the life that we live here. And I'm just saying, I don't have the proof or statistics. Neither do you. We're just differing in opinion in this scenario. I'm just trying to say though that the time to be more open and welcoming of the no sex before marriage thing not being a thing anymore is accessible now. The idea of sex before marriage is okay. I was not taught that growing up.
It's just like you said. I think women now, because of the power and the way we teach women to be more, on their own and stuff. It's more of them that they've stepped up to our plate, men's plates, right? Remember back like in the 50s, let's just say, women, it's not too often women. I'm sure there were a few hoes out there in high school and shit like that, but you know what I mean. They didn't have the power to. I want that guy, But
Yeah.
for sure now.
Now,
Women have now.
yeah, when I got the statistic about like these dating apps, like 60% of users on Tinder are male. So by that
Yeah,
already,
women have the
yeah,
Women have the
by
have the
that
numbers.
even, yeah, just by that. And then if you think about just top 10% or top 1%, oh man, like, and yeah, there's like headlines now of like the struggle of single men.
Yes, I saw that. I
It
read
was like
something about
like
that.
some formal article. Like it's a little
Yeah,
scary now.
it was an article or a study.
Yeah, like what were people saying?
So men, even though they perceive to be, the bigger, the strongest, but the mental game of now this social media world is taking a toll on men, because now they're trying to be that 1%, because women are only looking for the 1%.
Yeah, like
Yeah.
the number of lonely single men is on the rise. That was August 12,
Yeah.
2022.
Yeah,
Damn, son.
women are kind of dictating how it is, or if you can get some these days now. Like, it's like one of those things. And the women that, like you said, on those apps, they are looking for that 1%.
Are
Like,
they,
they'll
though?
try for the 1%, and maybe they'll.
I still think that's like skewed to just dating apps though, because outside is still outside, man.
Well,
Well, I mean,
Yeah,
I
I
think
mean-
we're all the same way too, right? Like when we're on a dating app, we pick the 9s and the 10s. Like why don't we pick the 6s?
Well, here's
Swipe
okay.
right past them.
That's the thing. Everyone's going to swipe right on the top 1%, like as we say.
Yeah,
And
Right?
I swipe right on the ones.
So on the top 1%, everyone, if you yourself are a top 1%, or if you're a top 10% or 20-30%, everyone's gonna swipe right on the top 1%. It's just as that range comes down of who you are, then that's when your swipe rate changes, right? So like before dating apps, we were limited to who we encountered, like who we just encountered in like life, which is far less. And not even, you know what it is? It's not even far less. You know what? We probably encounter way more people in person randomly than we would in an app. However, because in the app setting, we understand that individual is also single and looking. So we
Not
have
necessarily.
well, okay, sorry, you're right. But it is somewhat on there for a reason, which is welcoming our attention. Like the app allowing us to see their profile welcomes our attention. Whereas when we go out in public and we meet random people, we do not know who of those people welcome our attention. And more likely, they are not welcoming our attention. Less and less women are welcoming random men's attention.
Yeah.
Like
Those apps are gender biased, man, because the girl has to like you before you connect. Why can't it be the reverse?
well, that's just Bumble.
I know.
That's
You know
just
what I
Bumble.
mean? It's true that way, and we accept that. Give the
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of genius whoever made Bumble, because it
Absolutely.
shifted the power.
You
Yeah.
know who made Bumble? Whoever made Bumble was someone that was on the Tinder team for Tinder.
Yeah.
And then they didn't give her like recognition for like some shit.
Yeah.
And so she left.
That's like the typical got rejected and made something big too, and then they bought it back or something.
Oh yeah.
I don't know if they bought it back though.
I don't know if Tinder got Bumble back. No.
Yeah.
But
No, but I mean, it's just like Ferrari
Yeah.
and fucking or Ferrari and what was it?
Volkswagen.
Ferrari and Lamborghini, right?
Oh.
Ferrari said, "Fuck you, Lamborghini. Your idea is stupid." Then he made his own Lamborghini, and boom, where they are today.
Well, they're all owned
Or
by
just
Volkswagen now.
Yeah, just like WhatsApp, right? The guy who created WhatsApp worked for fucking Facebook, or worked for
Yeah.
and then they said that's a terrible idea, and then it got bought. It got bought by them.
Yeah.
Yeah, they bought it back. You could have had this guy for free. Instead you paid like how many, $1 billion. So good on them.
Wow. So, okay, yeah. Off that. Okay, not that it's a huge tangent or anything, like, but let's kind of like settle this back down to like our gen, or let's like relate it to. Well, my whole thing about this podcast today was how our generation has been pushed kind of a decade later. Like Tom, our parents probably got married on average about 10 years younger than people are getting married now. And then and their parents on average got married about 10 years before that. 16, 17, 18. People now are getting married 24, 25, 26.
Sure.
I'm
You
not
don't hear a lot of divorce in that generation.
You know what? I will say though that
Even if it was warranted.
I'm still seeing the vast majority of weddings that I shoot anyway are still in their mid to late 20s, right? They're not. There's not a whole lot of them in their 30s now, but it's just less.
Oh, really?
It's not as rare now to see older couples now. Usually it's like second marriages.
I always see like
second,
I would
third
think
marriages.
like 30s, like starting in the 30s or mid 30s is kind of where I thought. Well, at least maybe because that's who all the people I go to weddings to. They're in their 30s.
But those are for people who like graduate school and want to put their career or like further schooling first, right?
True. That
Like,
matters.
A lot of times, like coming out of, I asked you, Deji, and I'll ask you too, Tom. Like from high school, like how many of your classmates are now like full blown like parents, like with like multiple kids now?
I see a good number on Facebook, but yeah, I mean, parents.
Couple of
Yeah,
them.
a lot of them are parents.
Yeah.
Is that what you're asking? Parents?
Yeah,
Their parents?
like if they have kids now. Yeah.
Yeah, I see a lot of
Yeah, oh,
people
yeah.
with kids. Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
And like
But not necessarily married anymore.
here we are having this podcast, 3 individual men who do not have any kids. Yet all the majority of our graduating class already do.
Yeah.
Are we top 1% of that?
Hey, as long as I'm a percent somewhere, I don't care. As long as I'm in the percent.
Like, okay, another thing that I've heard is like 30 is the new 20. The only difference is you have more money. And now 40
Yeah,
is the new 30 and you have even more money. So it's like the access to all these, like, I guess you would say luxury experiences become more like available to you the older you get because of your income. Like your income just gets better.
Yeah.
That you are, would you say, because of these, I'm gonna put distractions in air quotes, but are we putting less and less emphasis on trying to like settle down and build that foundation because of the fact that we have access to all these other more luxurious experiences, enjoying?
It's like that Chris Rock thing, man. You're only as faithful as your options. Lots of options out there.
Oh man, I mean, that's sad, but
I
like,
mean, it's like
Yeah, you're right.
times too, right? Like, just
Like
the
everybody
culture
wants to
again.
find the perfect girl. I'd like to find.
yeah, like
Yeah.
the
you know, I'd
sentiment
to
of
find-
like the, well,
Yeah.
okay, you know, when we were growing, I don't know about you guys, but me growing up, they said no sex before marriage, right?
Mhm,
Like that,
same.
it was, and in my head, I was like, that's special. Like, yes, right?
Yeah.
Like you're looking for the one. And then you have your first relationship or whatever that is, long-term relationship, whatever. And then maybe eventually you do lose your virginity.
Yeah. I knew I wasn't gonna listen to that for sure, but hey.
Ah.
Well, it,
You know?
it makes me wonder now too, all
Gotta
these
get
parents
you,
who,
yeah, Giles.
all these
But
parents,
I think it's different when you become a parent.
no, but
You know,
dude,
how would you want
how
your
many
daughter?
of these parents teach that but didn't actually follow it? That's my
I
question.
think a lot of them.
Would you say the vast majority of parents who taught the no sex before marriage are didn't even adopt that for themselves?
Yes.
I don't. Well, maybe not the vast majority, but I would
I
say
think a lot of them had at least did it before they got married. Like,
maybe
still,
half.
right?
Maybe half.
Yeah.
You
Because
know,
some
they could have been their
were
first.
really
and
about that life.
It could have been their first and only, but I think they did it before. You know.
Yeah, I mean, I would say like about 50%, because you know some cultures were really like, yo, can't even your boyfriend can't even come to the house until he
Yeah.
proposes. You know, because
Well,
that's
let's
how
put it
my
this way,
mom.
gentlemen.
That's how my like. That's literally how my mom and dad.
What
were.
would you do if you found
My
like the
granddad.
perfect girl and she was a virgin and she said, "No sex before we get married"? What would you do? Would you keep dating her?
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, I'd like to think I'd try. I don't know where, but you know that's a tough one, man. Like, are we getting married when? You know.
Wait. Say
You know?
say your question again. I think I misunderstood.
So, like, let's say you did meet the girl, whatever. The next girl you meet, you know, say you get a girlfriend and you find out, you know, that she is a virgin and she won't do it until she's married.
Oh,
Would you keep doing that?
you know
Would
what?
you?
I'd say yeah.
I don't know. I
You know what? It's a tough one, right?
I feel like I don't think that I can use the word perfect if we don't have that same understanding of that sexual like emphasis, because the likelihood first of like of her having that sentiment for herself but her partner not, do you really think she'd be open to a partner who didn't?
I don't know.
Well, I don't
Well,
think so.
There's weird relationships out there, but I'd like to think that if I met, let's say I met a girl and then boom, she was a virgin, and then but I'm just really into her, whatever, you know, like would I keep going with it? Like, I don't know. I have no idea. That's a tough one. Like, we could be together for 3 years before you get married. I don't know.
Yeah, but how do you, that's the thing. What I'm saying is like if
Do you
you
like her
if
I'm still with her
if you've
3
already
years?
developed the importance of a sexual relationship in your in your relationship before marriage, but she
Yeah.
refuses to have that in your relationship, that might be cause for it to fail.
That's right.
Like for
Yeah.
you, would you really be willing to wait and take
No.
that?
I'm a
I'm even
shallow
going to use
guy.
the word.
No.
I would,
I'm
But
shallow guy. I don't think I'd wait.
the only like thing would be is that I would be able to have sex with those bitches. I'm kidding.
Oh, did you just Andrew Tate that, dude?
Yeah,
You just fresh and fit tated that.
I'm kidding. That was a joke.
But
I
yeah,
mean, 3 years.
likely, yeah. Like, I think it's not impossible. I think there's certain people out there who still are, on getting on the older end of like the generation where maybe past 20s, in their 30s, that are still virgins. Like, remember the whole like the 40-year-old virgin movie with
I just saw that. Yeah, Steve Carell.
Steve Carell, right? Like, when that movie
Tastes like-
came out,
feels like sand. What are you talking
when
about?
when that
dude?
movie came out, like we saw the title, and it was like immediately, that's comedic. Like, it's funny that we can laugh at this man who's still not had that experience. But now you look at that and you think about how serious that incel kind of title is now. Right? Like, it's such a different tone. Can you have a movie like that now? Probably not. Like,
Oh yeah, he was an incel, right? Maybe he was just scared of women. I can't remember the movie, but aren't incels?
he was very like sheltered. Like, he still lived with his mom, I think, or something like that. Like,
character was, from what I remember, like it's not like he was all pent up and just raging. It seemed like I remember him just being a nice guy, and it just never happened.
yeah,
and it
he
wasn't a
was
big
he was
deal.
just too timid. He worked at a video rental
Aren't
store.
incels like trying to, and that they get rage out when they
Yes.
don't?
Yeah,
Right?
well,
I think
yes.
that's-
Oh man,
Right.
they rage out. That's
Well, it's
Well,
involuntary. That's what incel means. Involuntary
Yeah,
celibate.
a lot of them will rage out and take it out on people.
Well, okay, no. That's the extreme where
Well,
this
that's what I'm
guy
saying. That's what you hear
took
about,
his
right?
car and ran over people on Young Street. Yeah, that guy. But like,
It's like, but why do they need a group,
it's
right?
it's people, I guess, categorized where they take their lack of experience and then transfer it as like an outcry of like they bitch about it online, and they complain about the fact that they're having a hard time, and they think that the world or the women are against them. They
Yeah.
think that there's some conspiracy against them that's keeping
Yeah,
them
like-
from being
yeah.
successful, rather than them taking accountability for their own shit.
Yeah, like I like to think that a lot of these guys have something that most of us could probably pick out. Like, that's why you're not getting some. That's, you know what I mean? Like, you
Right.
want to sit there with that person. You're like, well, you don't bathe, dude. What do you want me to say? Or shit like that. I don't know, right? It could be. I think there's sometimes it's something so simple, but they can't see it. Could
Well,
be like, oh, you're
Did you
addicted.
say you don't bathe?
No, I'm just saying as an example.
That could be an example.
Yeah, right. Like, why don't girls
Yo,
like
that's
you? Well,
a-
'cause you stink.
that's
Like
a
sometimes it could
sicko
be something so
example.
simple, but they can't see it for themselves.
Well, sometimes. Well, yeah, I guess for those people who just are very picky,
That's funny.
I wouldn't call that. I mean, it's different because
Yeah,
it's a
dude, you
choice they're
stink.
making. Like, they're.
I think everybody has the potential, again, like you said, to get some, but we're always looking for that 1%. You know how many sevens I've passed on the bar, trying to hook up with a 10, and then she rejected me, and then I go looking for the 7, and they're over with another dude. I'm like, fuck, see, I knew you should have done that.
I specifically remember I was single. I was at a bar with some friends, and like this triple generation family came. It was a daughter, mother, and grandmother came in.
Oh my God.
Okay, and they were like celebrating someone's birthday. It was probably the mother's, maybe it was the daughter's. She was, younger, but she was still of age to get into the bar. So I guess she was 18, 19. So then the mom was probably like twice the age, 30 something, and then the grandmother was
She got knocked
50
up young?
something. That's what I'm guessing. So
And then so did the
so
grandma.
like I'm sitting at the bar, and I think who ended up next to me was the grandmother first. So just having a conversation, end up saying hi to all three of them, or all, because you're just having a good time at a bar. And then this other woman on my right also was there, and I remember she caught my attention first. it was before this other group arrived. So then I end up,
Sure.
I remember asking for the number of the woman on my right, and I don't know if it was probably rejection or she gave me a fake number or whatever it was, but like it wasn't welcomed. But because the other three saw me ask and fail on this woman, then they're like, I don't know why you wasted your time. You could have had our granddaughter, like the mother and the grandma was like ready to set me up with this daughter.
Oh.
But they saw me fail with someone else. They're like, you lost your opportunity. You could add whatever. I mean, they were out of towners, like way out of towners. That doesn't happen.
Sure.
No, that's what I'm saying though. Like you don't
Yeah.
see a grandma, ma, and daughter's combo walk into a Toronto bar. Like
not-
that
not a
doesn't
free
like
pack.
it's this.
You always see a lot of mother-daughter combos, but damn,
What
that's
you do? I don't
Sure,
see that
a lot of hot moms with their daughters, like yeah, I see it all the time. Yeah, for sure. I used to anyway before COVID, but hot mother-daughter combos. Oh yeah.
Oh, I mean, I've only seen it once. I guess.
Oh man.
I don't think I've seen that.
Yes, it's a little odd unless they're celebrating.
It's not like they partied. But I see like out in public, hot mother-daughter. Not like in the bar. Sorry,
Okay,
not in
that's
the
what I
bar.
mean. Walking into
Okay, yeah.
going out night on the town, you'd go with your grandma and your mom and your mother. Like that's not.
Was the grandma hot?
I don't recall. I'm gonna say I didn't look at
Ah.
her that way.
Maybe they could have tried. You want to meet my grandma?
Yo, you don't bathe is crazy. Yo, I'm still dying. That's why you can't get no girls, bro. Take a shower.
Okay, so like what was I trying to like I guess wrap this all up into for like a positive
Oh,
message
shit,
for this pod?
Goddamn.
Yeah. Well, it's like I know a lot of people, specifically like my class, a bunch of them birthdays were just within the last month, like a bunch of August birthdays. I don't know what it is, but during Christmas time, all our parents were feeling it, and then August, a bunch of us were born in from anywhere between like 17th, 19th, all the way to the 31st. Like every day for this stretch, I know someone from my class who was born. So I know a lot
All
of
the
us.
New Year's babies, man. All the New Year's sex.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
So a lot of us are turning 40 or turned 40 recently. And like I gotta say too, like for a good part, especially when you're single, it's hard not to feel like you're behind, like from the expectation of you based on like the rest of your class. Like I feel like my best friend, I felt like he has 2 kids now. His house, maybe his second house now. He's got like multiple cars
Married?
now. Yeah, of course.
married?
Yeah, he's married. He's been married for freaking 10 years now or so. So it's like he's in my head. I've always said for like quite a while. It's like, man, he's living the life that I planned for myself that I just
Sure.
that I
Yeah.
failed to achieve, and I always felt behind because of that. And
Yeah, but I always, man,
It's not over yet,
I
buddy.
feel you, man. I feel you, but like at the same time, the way I'm starting to look at things now is like, yo, is he happy though? Like, how happy is he?
well, that's
Because I'm sure he would love to just like fuck off and do whatever he wanted for like 2 days, but he can't do that.
no, but you see,
You can do that.
no, but dude, okay, I
Yeah.
do hear that sentiment from a number of people. Not even just because I'm single and I have the freedom, but it's like also that I chose to work for myself. I'm self-employed, that I'm my own boss, and then people are like, yeah, you did what we all wish we could do. But you can totally see that like the happiness that single people, I guess like us, get comes from our own like personal experiences of like pleasure and like success and like fun. But with our counterparts, like our classmates, friends who are married with kids, you can see that their happiness is sourced from their kids' happiness or their family's happiness. Like
Yeah, I think that. Yeah, for sure.
it's less of like that oh, I'm happy because I just experienced something. It's more like I'm happy because I get to witness my kids experience something that make them happy. I totally see it. I see it in my sisters. I see it in like all my classmates who have kids now. Like their source of happiness is like, I'm gonna say maybe less selfish, less self-centered. Not to say that we're self-centered. We're not self-centered. It's just like, but you know what I mean, right?
Like you're
Yeah,
saying, like
I get it.
their mission in life now is it's all about the kids, or it's all about
Yeah. Like
that's now their thing.
think about
That's what makes them happy,
think
or
about
whatever.
like
Yeah.
you all any of us wants to go, yeah, we want to go
Or
travel. I want to go backpack like Europe, or I want to go backpack like Asia. But then they're like, oh yeah, we want to take our kids to Disney World, or we want to take our kids to this, so then they can have a great, you know what I mean? And they're both happy in their own sense, but they're very
you know
different.
what? I have a third door. I
Okay.
think it's like it's not necessarily their happiness is now rooted in their kids. It's more so like, well, that's part of it, but it's more so like they've now learned to be happy about something that is not about them. You know what I mean? Like they've learned to like look outside of themselves.
Yeah.
And I feel like when you can do that, like on a deep level, you kind of unlock some shit. You
Yeah.
know?
Yeah. Like
So
we're not parents. Here's the thing, right? We don't have that bond, that
No.
instant bond we have with this like living thing that we created. That is something we have not experienced yet. But
Yeah.
a lot of our friends and family have and are in that situation, and you can I'm sure you guys can all see it. Like you can
Yeah.
see
Your
how.
parents give me the push there, bud.
Oh no. Well, I don't feel the push, but of course they're waiting for me. Like they're like,
Sure.
Sure. Like all these hand-me-downs from my two sisters. They're like, yeah, we'll save this for when it's Noise turn. When it's
Yeah.
or for your kids when it's time. I'm like, really?
Yeah.
I gotta find somebody first. It's like,
You could be like this. You're like, Mom, Dad, I'll just knock one up, and then will that make you happy? Because
I doubt it, but
yeah, no, I said that to my mom. I was like, well, I could go get a girl pregnant, but it's gonna screw us all.
but yeah, I there's this new, I think it's a Netflix series coming out. The premise of the show is it shows this woman's life up until this decision where she had a relationship where the relationship splits, they don't make it, so
Oh,
then
shit, son.
she goes off on her own, and then this other side of the relationship where they stay, they get pregnant and they decide to have the baby, so then and then the whole show shows two different lives
Interesting.
Based on one person.
based on one person, but the decision that
Oh,
split it.
that alternate reality, or I
Yeah,
know, yeah,
like a
that's kinda cool.
multiverse.
Like, yeah, like what
Everything
if
happens
went on
and
this road,
like,
and then what if? That's
Yeah.
kind of cool.
And I mean, I think everyone is anticipating what the final message of the show is going to be, that this, regardless of what choice that you've made in that these pivotal moments where you feel like there might be regret, they're going to find happiness. I bet you they're both going to be successful and happy at the end. It would be unfair
There's no wrong choice.
Yeah, it would be unfair for one person to be miserable, or they both end up miserable. You never know. They could both be miserable, or they both end up happy. But the point is, like, living life without regret. I don't necessarily think that that's true. There are things where you could feel like you could have made better choices, but it's just, as long as you accept what you have, don't take for granted what you have, and make the most of what you have in like the present. That's probably going to be the message in that whole. And I like it. I like that
Conservative words
sentiment.
right there, buddy.
Huh?
yeah.
Those are nice, some conservative words right there.
Conservative. Communist.
Yeah, I think that, like, when you're saying about that, like, the whole rose thing, I think a lot of people are guilty of, like, trying to see if the grass is greener
Yeah.
on the other side of the fence, right? Like, I mean, I think we all have done that. It's like, nah, man, you just be grateful for what you have, or But I think we're all guilty of the grass is greener. Like, maybe it's better on that side of the fence.
Word.
I think because of, having gone to Canada, this Western society, but having been born or grown in more of a third world, maybe second world upbringing, we feel like we have just, we have an opportunity to really reach for our dreams, like our
Yep.
ideal lifestyle.
Yeah.
But it's
Very
How
it's
old were you when you
almost
came
like
here?
that
Were you
top one.
5?
I was 5, so it's like
Yeah, I remember you were 5 or something. Yeah.
like it's similar to dating, how we're like our ideal would be the top 1%, whatever. But that's not the case. Like, and here we are, like reaching for our dreams. Like, oh, I could be like this mogul or self-employed or a CEO, whatever. Like, oh, I could do that. Had I just like, pursued my first relationship or something, and then had kids shortly after graduating, and then like getting married, yeah, it'd be a totally different lifestyle. I'd probably be doing a 9 to 5. Probably did a lot less like creative stuff. Like I probably wouldn't even have this podcast. There's no way I'd probably have this podcast if I had a family. Like
It's
What are
possible,
you
yeah.
gonna do, honey? You're gonna do a podcast? You gotta get the kids ready for bed. What are you doing? Get out of there.
well, you started at 11, so it's like the kids are already in bed, but then like they'll hear.
Yeah, you gotta go to work in the morning, honey. I'm going to bed. Come to bed. Oh man, it would have been all that.
Oh yeah, 12, 13 be like, yo, it's too late.
I'm going to bed, honey.
Yeah. Then months
Yeah,
later.
not too many boys in my family. Our family, like, who has kids? Fuck. Only Nicholas. Is the only one I could think of.
Really?
Yeah. Kent got no kids. Justin got no kids. None of the other young.
Are they in relationships?
I don't.
Oh wow,
No.
I didn't even think about that. But
No.
yeah, they're younger than me, right? Yeah.
Actually, remember Timmy?
Yeah.
Vincent's.
Yeah.
He's got a kid.
He-
But that's about it.
Yeah, and he's one of the younger ones too. What about
Yeah.
like
He's
Chris?
younger than you. No, they don't have kids. Chris and Tadpole and all them. No,
Oh man.
just Nicholas. Nicholas is the only one
Yeah.
that has 2 kids.
Yeah. It's like the
That's it.
norm is like reversed of like
And there's a lot of kids in the family, but
more uncles
Yeah.
these days, less fathers.
Yeah, man. I'm thinking about being a cool uncle, man. I'll just rent
Yeah.
I'll just rent your kids for like a weekend.
yeah,
I'm
you're
getting
all
back.
pick up chicks like, oh, you got a nice son. Oh, this is just my nephew. Richard. Like Uncle Charlie, like Uncle Charlie on 2.5 Men.
Oh man.
Yeah.
Jake,
Yeah.
better than
Yeah,
a dog.
It's like glorified, I guess, these days to have that kind of lifestyle now.
Yeah, man.
Yeah.
Because you still treat it like it's your kid. That's your nephew, like or niece, whatever.
Well, yeah, it's still blood. Still, it's still
Yeah.
Women will feed off that.
yeah.
We're just
But
using
like,
kids now.
but
for
are you
pickup
using it?
shit.
Yeah, but are you using it? Are you
It
using
always
it?
back-
Yeah,
It's all about the women.
for that manipulation.
Oh
Like
my god.
the thing
all about
is,
the
like
women.
ideally though, still like as you said earlier, you're still looking for that perfect woman, like that perfect girl, right? Like,
Yeah, the one that makes you go, whoa.
but then,
I think those ones might have passed already.
like at my age, like had I known what I know now 10 years ago, and then had I known what I know like that 10 years
Yeah.
before that, yeah.
Yeah.
I definitely don't
There's-
believe I was like in a mature, like, state of like emotionally mature, intellectually mature in my 20s. I
could
felt
say that
invincible, but I was
Yeah.
not. I was overly confident in my 20s. 30s, I was definitely roller coaster. I had like my trying to figure out who I am scenario because I wasted my 20s thinking I was the shit. And then I was like, rock bottom. And it's like, now who am I? And it's like the rebuild was 30s for me. And now I'm hitting 40
yeah.
and I actually feel like I'm in a good spot,
Are you 40 now?
Dude, I'm turning 40 on Saturday.
Okay, I said you're not 40 yet. There's no way, but holy fuck.
2 days. 1 day.
You're turning
Yeah,
40, eh? Oh boy.
Ay nako. So
It's so
yeah. Here we are playing Warzone late at night.
oh. How old are you, Deji?
Early 30s.
Early 30s?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I
Anyway,
remember like 20s, just like you said, was a fucking party. Then I settled down a little bit in my 30s, and then had another second win in my mid 30s. Then shut it down again, and then when I turned 40, found another third win, but then
Oh,
COVID
yeah?
fucking slowed that down. Yeah.
So where are you now? Like, what's your mindset now? Like, what is your projection in the next two
fucking-
years? 2 years.
Number one, the only thing on my mind right now is just getting back to the school for this last semester and graduating. That's
Okay.
it. That's the only thing I'm
Yeah.
fucking worried about.
That's the
After
thing.
that, yeah, that's all. I'm keeping it simple. I don't even care if I don't get laid this fucking term. I just want to fucking graduate. I'm at that point now. I just want to finish the school.
Honestly, it's when you are so focused on those like personal goals
Yeah.
that you are at your like best like peak performance and like peak performing state, you know? Like right now I am super focused on career right now. It's like I am full throttle right now on like just working as much as possible, building obviously like capital,
Yeah.
financial growth.
You live in a capitalist society. Make as much as you can.
And
right?
it's like that's all I'm kind of like focusing on right now, and I do think I'm finally kind of getting rewarded for that, for like this like past decade of hard work trying to grow this business. And coming out of COVID, having survived COVID, coming out of it, I'm being rewarded. So I'm thankful for that. So I do think because of like this like upswing, maybe I'll be lucky and like meet more people and like, you know, yeah. I'm hopeful. As always I'm hopeful, but like I feel like I'm feeling a bit more positive about where I am in life and like more confident about like, you know, freedom and access that I have now because of my financial independence. So it's like
Nice.
it's a nice
That's a good.
it's a nice place to be in. Little lonely though, I will say it's a little lonely. But it's
yeah,
it's a pretty
man.
nice place to be in.
Yeah.
But always stay positive.
Yeah.
Positive, baby.
Absolutely.
Stay positive, man.
All right. Well, there you go, guys. That's I think we can wrap it up. Anyone else want to say anything with regards to 40 new 30 new 20? Lifestyles of our generation just being pushed a little bit further back. I think if you're out there and you're hitting a milestone age, whether it be 20, 30, or 40, don't get freaked out. It's just another year. Just do you. Focus on what you had planned the day or the month or the past months before that. Nothing really changes when you hit that. It's just a number.
It's just the inevitable.
Yeah,
Yeah, baby.
we're just gonna get older. Take care of yourself. Eat well. Good fuel makes a good performing machine, body. You know, take care of yourselves. Yeah.
Yeah, man. And like, just take it one day at a time. At the end of the day, because at the end of the day, it's all just a bunch of days, man.
Yeah.
What was that quote from Dazed and Confused? Yeah, we get older, men, but the girls still stay the same age.
See, I don't think I adopt that. Like I'm starting to see it more now too, with like exposure to like, you know, the different age groups in this dating scene
Well,
as,
they're all
as I
different,
get
man.
older.
It's just like, yeah, people are. You gotta just engage and then. See
Yeah,
what-
and you gotta
what's
see.
good.
Yeah, you're right, because there are a lot of like low mid 20s that'll surprise you. A lot more mature than late 20s, early 30s. Some of them, and
Gotta engage.
yeah, communicate. Don't hold back. You know, I think I feel like I'm not gonna go back on these apps anytime soon.
You haven't been on in years, man. It's shitty over COVID. I'll tell you that much. But fuck, I'm not knocking it down, but it's not for me at the moment. Maybe who knows? I might jump on it. Who knows again?
What's crazy
But
is
it's
though,
been,
like I said, I know people out there who it's just been like steady, not even steady, but like a pretty fast pace type of like engagement and like encounters there, and it's like, how are they able to maintain that? I don't know. Maybe it's an energy thing. Maybe it's I'm looking for something different, so I guess that's why I'm not coming across those experiences.
Yeah, it's like just like you said, right? I think when people do the dating apps, they're not just talking to you. They're obviously, lining up their prospects.
Yeah.
That's what I think. I think that's the reality. But if you meet people in person, you can't. There's no way you can maintain.
Yeah, it's way
Five,
more
five,
authentic. Yeah, it's like
Yeah, it's either it's not or it's gonna work because like it's just the way it is. Unless you're a really good juggler. But
Well, I will say though, some uh, dating app users out there, like myself, aren't the
So
type.
you guys are gonna actually gonna cut.
Yeah. Peace, man. Peace.
Peace, y'all.
Later.
Peace.
Last words I'm gonna say is like, I I was on dating apps and a lot of them, but I wasn't a juggler. It was like whoever caught my attention at the time, that gets my attention, and then one at a time. I do think there are a lot of people out there who practice it that way too. They just don't have nearly as many experiences. They're just not as experienced, I guess, or that many sample size.
I don't. We'll hear about the data in 10 years and how this whole social thing works.
It's there's still some miracle ones where not miracle, but like they find their husband, they find their wife. I still use my sister as a great. Oh, and man, dude, all these weddings I'm shooting lately, they're finding themselves on these apps. So it's like,
Oh yeah, like you. How do you know?
they
told
they
you?
say it in the speeches. So
Oh,
they like,
fuck,
oh, so
okay.
we met on this dating app. We met
Oh,
on
shit,
this
eh?
dating app, and this was the first message he sent me. And this,
a more common thing now, eh? that
Yeah.
you're observing.
yeah, like it's
Huh.
it's definitely more welcomed than like Mike saying dating apps
You
suck
said right,
ass.
a younger generation,
Well,
right? These guys are like
yeah,
a lot
and
of
they're in their
20s,
20s,
mid-20s,
yeah.
yeah.
Like, yeah, I guess like
But it's to be expected.
because you just have less opportunities to go out and like do things in an environment where you can feel safe, where strangers approach you. But when you go on a dating app, like I said, the premise is there. You have given now this impression that you are looking for someone, so therefore your attention is welcomed. So it feels safer in that regards. That's why I see the benefit of a dating app, because it's understood. It's almost like consented already. When you signed up and you put your profile on, you expect people to hit on you. Whereas if you go out in public,
Fingers crossed. Yeah.
like going in public, that's not really the case. Anyway, thanks Tom for coming on. Deji had to go, but thanks Deji. All right, guys, have a great week. I'm turning 40 on Saturday. Wish me luck.
Don't worry, I will.
Wish me the best. Let's wrap it up here. I'll see you guys next week. Thanks for coming, guys. If you have any questions, comments, or anything you want to share about like generational changes or hitting milestones in your life, please feel free to share that in the comments below. But until then, take care, guys. Thanks for watching. Peace.